Hello, Samurais. Welcome back to the dojo. Today, we will be going through how to send emails or reports through email using R. For that, we will be using the Blastula package, keyring, and we'll also be taking some of the things we've done in the past so that we don't have to generate a completely new report. So the first thing that I've done so far is I created a new folder here in the folder that we've been working, and inside of it I created a few scripts. I created something called send email, and then another one called store credentials. These are completely empty. We will be filling them in, and then I copied that report that we created, my first report, HTML. If you remember, my first report HTML was this. We did something like this. So we need to modify this a bit so that we can send it by email. So we will be modifying this table, and we will be creating a static table that is not dynamic like this, using cable extra, a package called cable extra. Okay, so we're going to be doing several things for that. So buckle up and let's get started. Okay, so first I think we should probably, let me close this. Uh, let's start probably first with modifying that report. So let me make this big and here. So this is the work we had last time. And like I said, the table, we cannot use the table exactly as is. So I will be changing it, and we'll be adding a certain few things for that. Let me just, okay. So first thing we will be doing is we will be adding here, we will be removing DT because we won't be using it anymore, and we will be adding instead library cable extra. Cable extra is a library that will allow us to create some nice tables for latex, or for static tables, basically for documents. Nothing as fancy as DT that is interactive. So that we will be changing. I'll be adding here, I don't think I need it, but just in case I need our library, just in case. I think we don't need it, but just make sure. Okay, so I think we have those three libraries here, and then we'll also be loading library Blastula because we will be using, I think, an output format from this. So when you send an email via R, if the output format is HTML document, it will work for Outlook, Yahoo, and many other email clients. But for some reason, when you send it to Gmail, it just doesn't show the way it should, right? So we need to adjust this output here so that our email is properly displayed in Gmail. So how do we do that? So we're going to change the output to something that is Blastula, which is the package that we will be using to send emails, and then Blastula underscore email. And with this, we're guaranteeing that our output will be properly displayed in Outlook, in Gmail, and everything else. It's just some annoyance that Gmail has. Okay, now we have all the packages here. We have everything fine. We don't need to modify this, but we need to modify here our table. Our table is no longer a data table, right? So it's basically something else. So let's change that. We will be using the neat R, and then here cable. Cable, like I said, is allows us to create tables that are static. I actually have some documentation here ready for you. If you're interested in that, you can go here to bookdown.org, or Markdown Cookbook. Here, this is the address, and then you can go just to chapter 10, where you can read all about tables. So now that I've shown you where you can find more information about that, let's get back to it. Okay, so you have neat R. We will be using the function cable. Then we will be doing um, well, not a mutate yet, but we will be passing empty card. Well, what's the name of the, yes, it's empty card names, empty cars names, and then inside we will be doing several things to spruce up that table. So we will have a caption for that table equal to car data. So that's our caption for the table. Then we'll have an alignment of that table that is to the left, L for left. I think that you also can have R for right and C for center. Then we will be moving into format equal HTML. Now this is very important because at some point we'll be applying some conditional formatting to this table. We'll create a function to do that just in case you ever want to, it's not uncommon that you want to paint certain things if they're below a number, or green if they're above, or black if they're a certain thing, right? So we'll be creating a function to do that. And for that to be properly applied and used in the table, we need to specify that our format is equal to HTML. Next, we will do format of .args. This is basically how we want to our numbers to be displayed. So we'll have big.mark equal to comma. So that means that big numbers will be separated by a comma. If you have like 100,000, you'll have 100 comma and then 3 zeros, right? That's basically what it means. Next, scientific equal false. We don't want any scientific notation. Digits, we want them rounded to 2. And then escape equal false. This escape equal false is required for the proper rendering of the HTML table. I'll show you, maybe I can show you what happens if you don't do it properly. Now I think that should maybe that should work. Let's eliminate this. Okay, let's first load this. Okay, that's loaded, and then let's see if we can run this. Okay, well, it's not looking great. We cannot really see much here, but it's okay. We have something in here. It's interesting that it's showing like that. Okay, I think we need to apply some formatting. We will do that in a bit. Okay, so our table is kind of showing. Like I said, we want to apply some coloring to this table. So I will be making a function called coloring. Hopefully you remember our course our lesson when we were talking about functions. And we need to do something called a cell spec. So we'll be applying some cell specification, and that will be allowing us to provide some HTML code that will color things the way we want. So we'll say color equal if else, and I'll make it very generic so that you guys can modify this depending on how you like it to be for your specific purposes. Then we'll do another if else x less than, let's say, 5. I'm just placing some random numbers in here. Then color red, otherwise it'll be black. And I think that should have our function ready. Okay, so I execute it with control enter or command enter, and now I have my function here. Now we want to apply that, like I said, to our data frame, right? So interesting thing you can do inside this function, you can still call a pipe, right? So we will be doing that pipe, then a mutate, and then we'll be using across, a function that I don't think we've seen. In case you're wondering what it does, you can do question mark across, and then you'll here see apply a function or functions across multiple columns. That's basically what it does. Okay, with that explained, let's continue. So that calls equal, if we look at our data from here, we have some string here, so we don't want this function for coloring to be applied to this because it makes no sense. So we will say that we don't want it applied to this, but to the rest. And to do that, we can say minus car name. Then we'll type fns, which is the function that we want to apply, equal coloring. And that should probably do it. Now we're still not done with our table, right? Before I execute the code, we need to apply a row specification, row spec, row empty cars names, and we want that row specification to be bold equal true. I think that should be, actually it's not row spec here, it's end row, sorry, end row bold equal true. Then we'll apply cable styling so that it applies a default styling to our table. You will see how it looks in a bit. And then we will be adding a header above, and that will be above basically all the columns that we have. So we will be saying that header should be cars equal and column, because we want to count all the columns that we have, empty cars names. And with this, we'll have I think we should have a very nice looking table. So let's see. And there we go. Right, we have everything colored like we wanted. And now that we have a nice table, we can proceed to finally send this out and start preparing how we send things out by email. But before that, let's see if I put here escape equal true. Will it change? Yeah, you see. So it's very important that you say that the format is HTML and that you write here escape equal true. I mean escape equal false, so that you don't end up with the HTML code in your cell specification, right? So I just wanted to show you that. Great. Now we run this again, and there we go. It's looking great. So I think we can forget about that. So let's close this. Let's save it, and let's leave it as it. I'm gonna leave it open, right? I will be closing this one, and now let's look into storing credentials. Before, actually, there's a few steps we need to do, and I'll explain them one by one. So first, we need to store credentials for R needs to have access to a password and our email, so that we can send those emails. Right? I will be doing this exercise or example thinking that you're using Gmail. If you're using something else, you might need to look up the specific instructions for your email client, right? Okay, with that said, to store the credentials, we will be using, I think we need two libraries. Library, I think we need Blastula, and I think we need Keyring. Keyring is a library that will help us store some of the content that we have for the password and the ID. And from the library Blastula, we will first be creating here store credentials. And this little script you can reuse every time you want to save credentials. Let's say that you have multiple emails and you want to store those credentials, then you will be able to do it. Okay. So here we'll create SMTP. That's how we will be accessing our account. Creds key, see, from Blastula. And inside we will be typing ID equal, and this is the ID of how we want our information to be stored, right? If we have multiple emails, we can call it my personal email 1, my personal email 2, etc. I will not be using that. I'll just be using ID1. Okay, or let's say ID2 because yeah, for testing purposes, I already have an ID1 and I don't want to override it, so I'll be using ID2 so that we can just see how that prompt looks like when you are saving something. For user, we will be typing here our email account. So in this case, I'll be using the email address for our SamuRai laboratory, our SamuRai lab. Then we need the host. The host for Gmail is smtp.gmail.com. The port, we need to specify the port too. The port for Gmail is 465. This is all publicly available information, by the way, but I'm already giving it to you. We're going to be using SSL, which is more secure. Let's say it's encrypted. Use SSL equal true. And then if you execute this code again and this particular ID exists, then you can choose to basically overwrite that. So I'm gonna say true. Okay, now let's save this, store credentials, and like I said, you can execute this script as many times as you want and create different IDs. So I'll execute this, and when I execute this, I'll see here that it says enter the SMTP server. Oh, by the way, you need to install these libraries, right? And to do that, remember, you can go to packages. I'll show you in a bit, just in case you forgot. So I executed this code and it says enter SMTP server password. So here you will enter the password. I will tell you what you need to enter in a bit. Just hold on a sec, because there are some certain things that we need to do before we can get this working. So I will be clicking cancel. In case you forgot how to install the libraries, remember, you can click here, packages, install, and then type the names of the different libraries like Lastula or Keyring or Cable Extra that we are using. Okay, with that parenthesis completed, like I said before, we can send or what password should we be storing in here. It's not your password for your email. We need to create an app password in our Gmail account that R can use. Okay, I know it sounds very complicated, but it's not that complicated. So there's prerequisites that we need. Number one, and I'll write it here, is we need to have two-factor authentication activated in our Gmail account. That's the first one. The second one is you need to create an app password through the following link. So that's https://my-account.google.com/apps passwords. App, I think it's app passwords. Yeah, app passwords. There we go. Okay, let's save this for a bit. So we need those two things. So first, enable two-factor authentication if you haven't, and then after that you need to go and create an app password. For that, you will need to log into your it's my account, sorry. You will need to go into your Gmail account, and then you will need to go log into your Gmail account, well, not the Gmail account, into your Google account, right? And then you'll be able to access here directly. Okay, so how does that look like? Here I'm already logged into my account, right? When you follow that link, once you're logged in and you paste that link that I gave you, oh wait, yeah, it's asking me to sign in again, but well, Anyway, it doesn't matter if you follow this. If you follow this, you will definitely end up in this screen over here, as long as you're logged in. Yeah, it's gonna tell me to log into our SamuRai laboratory, but it's okay because I already have it loaded here. Anyway, so if you're logged in, you will end up on this screen, and then here you basically just provide the name of the app or any name that you want. In this case, I already created one. I think that was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday when I was testing this or preparing the class. And then I already have that password, okay? So you type any name, click create, and you'll see a pop-up that contains a password for that application, okay? And that is what you save in here. You put that password in here that you got, and then click OK. It says you must enter a value. I'm just gonna enter 1. Okay, and then it says here the system store has been updated with Blastula V ID 2, key with the ID value ID 2. Use view credentials function to see all available keys. Okay, now what happens if you want to delete one of those credentials? So let's say here, in case you want to delete credentials, then you can use delete credential key. In this case, I'll type ID 2 because I don't need it. I already have something called ID 1 that I created before, right? That has already stored my credentials. And then we can execute this. So it's credential ID 2 has already been deleted. If I try to execute this again, it'll tell me that it doesn't exist anymore. Another one you can use if you want to delete all keys available, you can just type delete all credential keys. I will not execute this because I don't want to delete the other one I have. So I'll be saving this. So that's it. You know, that's how you save your credentials. And those are the prerequisites you need to be able to send an email. So I will leave this open over here. And now we move into the interesting part, which is sending the email. So we have already our report changed. We have our credentials stored. Gmail is set up in the right way. Now it's time to be sending the email. How do we send the email? Okay, please remember to have all your files in the same location, by the way. And your report, remember, if you have any data that this .r markdown document requires to generate the report, remember to place it in the same location so that you don't have to be running around for things, okay? Okay, great. Now, let's see. We will be using the library Blastula, and I'm typing it again because in case you don't want to run this or this and you're just running this one, then it will already be in there. So library Blastula, and then library R markdown. I don't think we need to load the library keyring, but just in case, I think Blastula will have access to the information that was created by keyring anyway. But just in case, let's say that just in case, I don't want you guys to be running into any issues. Okay, then here we'll be calling a function called, we'll be doing some things before just to check, right? So we'll be rendering that R markdown my first report.rmd, and to do that, to render it, we will type R markdown like this, render, and then the name of our file, our report, which is my first report.rmd. Let's see. We execute this. See, we see that we now have a file here created. So let's see. Let's go into our email folder. Let's open it with Safari. And there we have it. You see, it's nice. Our basically our report is here, nice and everything. Okay, great. Let's close this and let's go back. Okay, so this is to create local copy of the report so that you keep it. You could also just omit this step and just basically send it, right? But it's good if you have it. Next, we will be generating or creating the email object. Creating the email object, for that we will do, we'll call it email object. An email object will be created using render email with a function from the Lasula package. And what is it that we want to render? Well, basically this, my first report.rmd. Okay, I will not be executing the code just yet. Then we will write down email lists, and this is the people we want to send our email to. So we'll write here emails, and this is a vector, and it will contain you know, you can add as many emails separated by a comma, and they need to be basically like this, right? I will only be typing one here. Our SamuRai laboratory at gmail.com, and then we will confirm the contents of the email just to make sure that everything's running fine. Confirm contents of email. And by the way, I forgot here to add the 4 hashtags to make a section. Remember, those hashtags allow us to create this night navigation menu. Confirm contents of email. But before that, we can also just, if you're interested, you can checking class. And here we can say class email object. Okay, so let's, okay, that will just tell us if it's fine. Then we can just confirm the contents of the email. We can use a print email object, and then finally sending the email. But before I write the code for sending the email, which is the very last step, let's look into the other things that we have here. Let me delete this. Let's delete this over here, and let's go one by one. So we rendered that, that's fine. Email object render email. We have the email object already created. The email list. The class, it says Blastula email message. Okay, that's fine. Print the email object. You see here, this is how it's going to be sent. So nice preview of our information. So it seems like everything's working fine. And finally, we will be adding here the code to finally send the email, what the moment everyone's been waiting for. So for that, we'll be using the function smtp send. Then here we will provide the email object, which we created, right? Then from, it's important that you write here the same email address that you use in your stored credentials. So I will just copy this. Next, actually, let me just, I'll change it to 1. It's not that it's required, but it's fine. From, and then to equal emails, which is our list, right? So basically I'm gonna be sending it to myself. And then we will type here the subject of our email, and then let's call this my first email sent with R. And we can let's make it a little bit fancier. Let's type here a paste. Okay, paste shows up again. I want to add maybe the time format, sys.time, and then I just want to format it keeping, I think, the month and the year. And our separator will be nothing. And finally, we'll set here credentials equal creds key, and those creds key will be the ID that we saved. Whatever you wrote here in ID is what you need to place in here. So I'll be calling it ID1 because that's the one, those are the credentials I currently have stored. Okay, great. Now let's check our email. So here we have basically, well, we have something new there because I'm live, but we have nothing in our primary email just yet. Let's see. And now that we have everything, let's execute the last piece of code. Okay, so well, actually let me delete all this and let's do it again. This is the final step, the final countdown. You know that song, right? Okay, we render it, email object, emails, class email, print email. I'm not the best singer, I guess. Sorry about that. And then finally, let's execute the SMTP send. Hopefully it doesn't fail. If it fails, we'll get some message here. So let's wait. Oh, it says the email was message was sent successfully. So it means that we didn't have any issues. Now, the moment of truth, it says that it was sent. Let's see if that's true. Oh, here it is. My first email sent with R September 2024. We click it, and there we have it. Beautiful, right? We have exactly the same thing that we saw over here. We have our ggplots. We have absolutely everything, which is pretty fantastic. Now, you might be thinking like, okay, what if I want to send emails using my corporate email, my company's email? Well, if you want to do that, you will have to ask your IT department what port you're using, what's the SMTP host for your corporate email, and then the rest is basically, well, you'll need to ask if you use SSL or if you don't use SSL, right? So you need to basically obtain this data over here. Well, this one you know, this one you create yourself. So basically you just need to find the host, the port, and whether you need to use SSL or not. And with that, you should be able to send out things with your corporate email. Okay, well, I think we did it, guys. Guys and girls, or guys and gals. That's it. That's it for today. So I hope you enjoyed today's class. I think I had promised last time that we would be looking more into Shiny app development, but I decided to take a little bit of a detour and just show you how you can already start doing all this kind of cool stuff, sending emails, reusing some of that knowledge that you have with R Markdown, and adding a little bit more things. Hopefully, well, I guess I'll see if next class I focus on Shiny app development, or maybe we do something else. I'll think about it. Just keep posted for lesson 16. If we go into Shiny app development, I don't think we'll be able to do it in maybe one class. We might take a few classes to look into all the things, so that might be a little bit more complicated. It might take me some time to actually prepare the content, so please bear with me if you're anxious for for that content. It'll take me a bit of time. With that said, well, thank you very much for joining today's class. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. I think before I was never saying comment, but the more you like and subscribe and comment, the more the algorithm of YouTube's algorithm decides to push this type of content to more people. And I would really, really appreciate it if you can do at least one of those three things. Like I said, this is for free, right? And I want more people to be able to learn R and hopefully perform a lot of the tasks they do at work in a much more efficient way to save you time. Okay, so help me help other people. With that said, that's it. We've come to the absolute end. So thank you very much once again, and class dismissed.